haven't guessed already, our theme is drugs this week, and you're listening to Cold to the Touch with Callum, Kai, and Chris. Maximum effort, boys.
Yeah, you sound buzzing to be back, Callum.
Well, I don't know. We had a little note saying we were going to talk about what's going on, but I've got either a cold or my hay fever's just completely blown me off the planet. My hair makes him look like Beetlejuice, and Chris is just Chris. Yeah,
but that doesn't affect my show performance. That's just a personal dig, really, isn't it? Bit of out.
All right, so we got this. We've got email. We've got more sequel emails. Stories, more recommendations. Chris, you've planned out a playlist for us.
Got a list.
Hopefully we don't get copyright strike.
Yeah, I tried to speed all the songs up like a tiny bit, so hopefully it bypasses the system, but I guess we'll see.
We'll find out.
We're hackers, man.
Yeah.
All right, Chris. Are we starting the list, or are we going into a song?
Yeah, start the list off.
All right. You want to introduce that?
Yeah, so last week I think I went a bit too far with the list, so I thought I'd
just a little bit, mate.
I thought I'd reel it back a little bit, go for a more serious list, something that's not going to embarrass everyone. And yeah, so I decided to fit in with our drug theme today. I'd go for the top 10 drug-related movies. So these are 10 films in which drugs are either like sold or whatever, or characters abuse drugs or are addicted to it or anything like that.
Cool.
Excited. What's number 10 then, Chris? Get us started.
Number 10 is City of God, the Brazilian film. Don't know if either of you have watched it.
I have, yeah. Good film.
But no one can see me.
Callum doesn't watch anything that is subtitled because he thinks it's artsy-fartsy cinema. I've
never said that.
You have. That's all you say to me. Films. No, that's all you ever say to me is, all you watch is artsy-fartsy shit.
We watch like black and white films that have no audio, and it's just minutes of people nodding their heads, and you're like, oh, it's the best film I've ever seen.
Grow up.
Hi, Chris, tell us what it's about.
So it's essentially about these two kids in Brazil. They kind of grow up surrounded by crime in the City of God, where there's loads of drug crimes and stuff there. One of them ends up joining the cartel. The other one goes more of a straight life, and it's all about them coming together and connecting in different ways. Lots of kids shooting people in the face, lots of kids being killed. It's a fun ride for all the family.
Way more serious than last week. What's number 9?
Number 9 is Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas, the Terry Gilliam film starring Johnny Depp, in which he goes to Las Vegas, takes a lot of drugs, and just hallucinates for 2 hours.
I actually haven't seen that film. I've been meaning to see it, but no, because originally it was supposed to be Alex Cox directing it, who I like a lot. I haven't really watched any Terry Gilliam stuff, so I think I'm going to binge all this stuff at once, to be honest, because just never watched any of it really.
He's got a lot of good films.
Yeah,
wild as well.
Some of his films are very hit or miss, but Brazil and Fear and Loathing I like a lot, and of course the Monty Python films that he did.
Not bad. I've never really been into Monty Python. Just don't find it funny.
Let down.
Sorry.
It's a bit hit or miss for some people. All right, number 7.
Number 7 is Trainspotting, the Danny Boyle
what
film.
What happened to number 8?
Ewan.
Shambles, lads.
Yeah,
sorry, I shouldn't have interrupted. Carry on.
You know what? Fuck it. Number 8 is Trainspotting then. I'll switch it around. Trainspotting at number 8 now.
I like Trainspotting. I don't like the sequel. The sequel's terrible.
Sequel's alright. Had a good soundtrack. Sure. Some Wolf Alice in there. I know you're a big fan of them, Callum.
I do dislike Wolf Alice.
Yeah, you do dislike him because when we went to see him, you moaned the whole gig, and I pushed you into a circle pit just to so you'd live and be a little bit excited, and even that you're annoyed at because you got crushed.
Yeah, and then landed up at the front for the thing, and there was people trying to push past me, and I was just stuck where I was, not enjoying it, but right in the eye line of the singer.
Yeah. And I had to stay at the back because I thought I was going to die.
Oh yeah, and then you threw up on someone's car after the gig.
Yeah, it was a good time.
It was a good time.
Have either of you?
It wasn't my car.
Have either of you read the book of Train Spotting?
No.
So the way
it
started as a book. So the book, the way it's written like exactly how they pronounce the way they speak. So to really understand it, you have to like speak everything, because otherwise it looks like gibberish.
Jesus. Oh, is it? Yeah, because I suppose they're Scottish. They've got their own sort of slang. Yeah. And
it's basically written exactly how they pronounce it in their accent as well.
Oh, that would do my head in. Not because I hate Scottish people or anything, just because it's annoying to read it.
I got less than a chapter in before I got rid of the book and gave up.
Pretty good.
I couldn't do it. He does weird things in his books all the time, because he wrote Filth, and like halfway through the book there's like a tapeworm typed up that eats through massive chapters of the book.
Wow.
I think pretty much all his books are about drugs and weird shit.
Smackhead.
Yeah. Made money off it though, so. Alright, number 7.
So, number 7 is Requiem for a Dream, which I finally saw a couple of days ago.
Oh yeah, talk about that a little bit. How did you find it?
It was a good film. I'm not sure I think it's quite as like miserable and depressing as everyone says it is. Like everyone says it's like the most miserable film they've ever watched. I didn't think it was that bad.
Yeah.
I thought Ellen Burstyn's story was pretty depressing, but that was about
it. It's Ellen Burstyn's and I've forgotten the actress's name.
Yeah.
The one that it's like becomes a sex worker essentially.
Jennifer Connelly,
heroin.
That's it.
Yeah, that's her. I find that depressing as well.
Yeah, I didn't like Jared Leto's character, so I didn't really care about him having his arm amputated or anything like that.
Savage.
I wouldn't watch it again, I know that much. I think once you've seen it once, I'm quite happy writing it off. It's if I remember rightly, it's just edited like you're on drugs.
Yeah.
It's just like quick cut all the way through.
Yeah.
Yeah, he wanted to like direct it and edit it like it's a hip hop music video.
Okay. Bit weird, but fair play.
Yeah. I did like when the guy came out of the TV in Ellen Burstyn's apartment as well. That was pretty interesting.
Or when her fridge attacks her.
And that's why you shouldn't take diet pills.
Yeah.
So yeah, number 6 is Heaven Knows What, the really great Safdie brothers film about a homeless heroin addict. Based on a true story, the lead actress, like, essentially she was approached in the streets by the Safdies, and they paid her to write a book about her life, and they adapted it into a film and got her to star in it.
Yeah, I like that film a lot. It seems to be really like hit and miss with a lot of people, but I enjoyed it. Thought it was good.
Yeah, I didn't really enjoy anything the Safdies did before that, but that and everything they've done since has been really great.
Yeah, I need to go back and watch some of their older stuff. I know a couple of them are on Amazon Prime, so I'll probably do that at some point.
Yeah.
I think I've only seen Uncut Gems out of their catalog.
Oh, have you not even seen Good Time?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I think.
That's a great film as well. Cool. So that's the first 5, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah, we are really deadpan. We will pick up.
Yeah.
See, I should have done a funny list. This has clearly gone the wrong way.
It's all your fault, Chris.
Yeah. I wanted to write a list about what you shouldn't do while on drugs. I was going to go to your grandma's funeral and fun things like that on there. But
what drug would you go to your grandma's funeral? I know which one I'd go on. Ecstasy for me. That'd be a trip, man.
The song we just played was about politicians getting high at Joe Talbot's mum's funeral.
Oh, yeah. The lyrics are really weird in that one.
Oh, do you want to say what you had to say about the Beatles?
It was all in jest, wasn't it? It was just a joke. I need to get sensitive about it.
He's backed out already. All right, Chris. We were talking for a list of your top 10 drug films. We're up to number 5.
Yeah, so number 5 is The Big Lebowski by the Coen brothers. I assume we've all watched The Big Lebowski.
Indeed.
Yeah. I think I watched it at the start of lockdown. I'd seen it before, but...
Yeah, it's one of the best stoner comedies in my opinion.
Yeah, I didn't really like it the first time I watched it. But,
no, me neither.
Yeah, the second time I loved it.
I've heard a lot of people say that the first time it's not that great, but the second time it gets a lot better.
Yeah. John Goodman's so funny in that film.
Yeah, John Goodman is really good in the film.
Yeah, what were you trying to say, Callum? Sorry, before I cut you off.
There's so much going on, isn't it, that it's hard to sort of keep up the first time. And
yeah, definitely.
You know, what to expect, it's a bit of a reality shock. It's also the reason I drank a White Russian on a night out and was violently sick immediately after.
I can't say I'm surprised.
Oh, they put coffee beans in it and I swallowed a coffee bean whole and then flew off about 2 minutes after.
I'm surprised you're still alive.
So, alright, Chris, number 4.
Number 4 is Dazed and Confused, another, I guess, stoner comedy sort of thing. One of Richard Linklater's best films. Just about a group of kids in the 70s hanging out in the summer holidays, having a good time.
Yeah. The only thing that annoys me about that film is, like, I don't feel like those kids, like the older kids, would be that nice to the young guy.
No.
I don't feel like he would have been accepted. Maybe that was just because I was just a fucking loser. But
I liked seeing Ben Affleck going around and paddling people.
Yeah, it's kind of gay as well, isn't it? Don't you think?
Yeah, a little bit.
Not like there's anything wrong with that, but it's like, I don't know, kind of like fetishy, sort of gay. Stunned silence.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure both me and Callum felt the urge to make a joke about you being homophobic there, and we both restrained ourselves.
I'm not a homophobe. It was just like, it's weird because they do it to like younger kids. Just like 18-year-olds like hitting younger kids with a paddle. So it's like, I don't know, kind of weird.
Right.
But Ben Affleck loves it.
Number 3.
Number 3.
So the only reason I didn't put this higher is not because it's not a great film, but because I felt like the drugs are quite a small part of it. So number 3 is Goodfellas. I was tempted to put Wolf of Wall Street on the list also, because they're very similar films, but Goodfellas is definitely better.
Yeah. Yeah, I'd say drugs is quite a big part of Goodfellas. Yeah, especially in like the last hour.
Yeah. That's kind of why I put it on the list, because of the last hour with Ray Liotta just doing nothing but smack for an hour.
Yeah. Just being absolutely paranoid that a helicopter's chasing him. Great stuff.
It's not really related to Goodfellas, but thinking back to number 4 with Ben Affleck, he has got the worst back tattoo I've ever seen in my life.
Oh my god, yeah, have you seen it?
I didn't know he had a tattoo.
Oh, it's horrendous.
It's awful. It's like a limp dick dragon just sat on his back. Like, it's awful.
It's probably one of the worst things I've ever seen. Alright, so number 2.
Number 2 is a tie between Climax and Enter the Void, both by Gaspar Noé. I know you've both seen Climax, but haven't seen Enter the Void. Enter the Void is probably my favourite film of the decade. It is Gaspar Noé's, essentially his version of 2001, a super surreal 3-hour film about life and death. And there's loads of scenes of people doing drugs and having real-life hardcore sex. So, comes highly recommended from me.
Wow.
I think I got Enter the Void and The Void confused, because I keep thinking in my head, I really want to watch The Void. The Void being the film that came out in 2016. It was like a B movie.
Yeah, I know that film.
Gosh, horror.
You do this all the time.
Yeah, every time Chris kept saying that, I was thinking, yeah, I really want to watch that. And I'd have watched that, and I'd have been talking about aliens coming out of fridges and stuff, and everyone would have been confused.
Yeah.
And of course, Climax is like the most terrifying drug film ever.
Yeah, it's up there.
I don't want to watch it again. I struggle to sit through his films anyway. Like,
I was going to say, you probably didn't enjoy it, did you?
I don't mind it, but
in some way, in some ways, Enter the Void is his most normal, and in other ways, it's like his most disturbing and weird.
Interesting.
Give it a go at some point.
I'd say Irreversible still his worst film, like to watch, anyways.
It's just for that one scene. Just the one scene I felt was fucked.
It's not though, is it? Because it's everything in that nightclub beforehand as well.
Oh yeah, the second half's pretty standard.
Squashed. Yeah, but then the second half's just depressing because it's like the life she's never going to live again. She's fucking dead.
Well, she doesn't die. They don't say she's dead. She's
dead. Probably. She's dead. She's not taking that beating and surviving.
So number one,
I was originally going to put A Clockwork Orange there, but at the last second, I have decided to change my mind and put Cool Cat Saves the Kids instead.
Oh, for fuck's sake, Chris!
Got nothing to do with drugs.
What are you talking about? Daddy Derek was definitely on drugs while making that film.
To be fair, he's meant to be making a sequel called Cool Cat Learns About Drugs. And it's like an anti-drug film, but
he made a poll like asking what people wanted to next Cool Cat film to be about, and one of the options was Cool Cat Learns About Autism.
For fuck's sake!
I don't know if it's a weird recommendation to make, but if anyone ever goes on I Hate Everything on YouTube, he went to war with him and tried to take him down with a copyright infringement. And there's things about Derek Savage pretending that lawyers were involved, even though he hadn't spoken to any, and was just a maniac from start to finish.
Their feud was the most interesting thing.
What a weird guy. I just remember his guitar solo that he has in the middle of the film. That has nothing to do with the rest of the film. It's just him showing off his guitar that's been signed by Aerosmith or something.
It's Van Halen, because it's like a Van Halen guitar that he got from them.
Jesus.
That they signed.
What a loser.
And he used to be probably. He used to be a Playboy or Playgirl model at one point. And every year
How do you pull that one off?
I don't know. Every year he hosts the 420 Awards now.
Jesus Christ.
Oh my god.
This year the Best Actor award went to John Travolta.
Of course it did.
What, for The Fanatic?
No, there was no specific film. He just gave it to John Travolta.
Well, so he can just pick any actor he wants from any decade. So he could be like, my favourite is Cary Grant from the 1940s. He's dead, so he's not available to pick up this award tonight. But
almost none of the films that were nominated came out last year. He just picks random films and goes, "This is the best film."
That sounds shit.
To be fair, if we were to do an award ceremony, that's the sort of thing we'd definitely do. We'd have the most obscure ever. Right. So obviously last week was War. Think about
what was it good for?
Absolutely nothing.
Hey.
So going forward, we pitched an idea for Faces Fallen to, I believe it was Lionsgate, unsuccessfully, I might add, because no one ever replied to me, disappointingly.
They don't know what they're missing out on.
Yeah, literally.
I offered to send them a spec script and everything. I might follow up with another email and say...
That was like a certified blockbuster, that would have made an absolute fortune.
So I thought I would tackle someone different, and that was Legendary Pictures this week. And because it was drug-themed, I decided to go for the unknown classic trilogy, The Hangover, and pitch them a part 4. I don't know if I can read this. So going forward, I emailed him and said, "Guten morning," and then said, "I'm just sending you an email on behalf of my podcast and production team." I said, "Yes, we do both because we have 11 kids between us that need feeding. The podcast only gets us away from our hate-filled lives for a short moment, but we have to pay bills by producing films for companies. Recently, we produced Evil Bong 888, where we took the bold move to retcon all previous movies and set it in the Silent Night, Deadly Night universe." Classic franchises that we combine there. Here we are, after working with Full Moon Pictures. We thought, who else would be shallow enough to work with us? eliminating a few, we thought we would go with the lowest of the low, and here we are.
Jesus.
I began our pitch and said, we are currently here to pitch you The Hangover Part 4. Before we get going, we are aware that Bradley Cooper, now on the back of winning a Smithers Foundation Award at the Venice Film Festival, is far too famous to reprise his role. We suggest that the casting director cast Jackie Cooper, as they're about the same age, and I'm sure you could strike a deal as he was in the Superman films distributed by your parent company, Warner Brothers.
Who?
Jackie Cooper, who was the original Superman in the 70s.
He's not the same age.
Yeah,
he must be about 100 years old.
Oh, he is. He was born in 1922, so he's 98.
Is he even alive?
I don't know. That's technical difficulties on our behalf. We're just here to produce it for him.
Yeah, true. We're just there for the.
Might as well just bring back Christopher Reeves from the grave to do it. So,
going forward, obviously, there's a lot going on in the world, and I thought some characters' stereotypes probably wouldn't fit in the role.
Who are you talking about?
I'm talking about the Mr. Chow character that they've included.
Yes, you are.
I emailed and said, I also am aware that Mr. Chow's character may be a bit outdated by today's 2020 standards. I suggest that we subtly replace him with the less offensive Mickey Rooney as Mr. Unicio. I'm trying to think what film he's in.
Well, Breakfast at Tiffany's.
That's it, that's the one, yeah. So we replace him with Mickey Rooney from Breakfast at Tiffany's, his character. Then followed up with a short paragraph to finish off, onwards to the plot. So we set this film 5 years after the previous film. Alan has decided that he will marry a hooker he's met while on a booze cruise around Southeast Asia. Wolfpack will reunite for a journey in Thailand until we get towards the end when we find out that they were actually prequels and this film is set in 2004. And then just put kind regard, cold to the touch, and then put PS, if you want a spec script, please email me.
Nice.
Nice. So is the twist that it's a prequel, is that like a twist at the end?
Yeah, well, we're retconning all the other films, and this one's set in 2004 Thailand.
Okay, so it's like an alternate universe.
Yeah, a little bit.
Sounds good.
Okay, I like it.
We swap characters out.
Not bad. I'm excited for that when it definitely will come out.
Oh yeah, when they ask for our spec script back.
To be fair, it does actually sound better than the third film, so that's something.
Yeah, the third film was like, it wasn't even funny. It was just a genuinely like dramatic crime thriller.
It was super dark.
Yeah. I remember watching it and I was like, this isn't funny. I'm not laughing. Just
all I can remember from that is when the giraffe dies and goes through the window of that family that are behind.
That's actually the opening scene.
Yeah, and that was like the only joke in the whole film. And it wasn't even that good.
Then there's like John Goodman kidnapping people and shooting people in the head. And shit.
Yeah. It's genuinely not even funny. Although, the other two?
No.
Leave comments down below.
So don't forget to follow us on Twitch, because our one follower is getting lonely and our one follower is me. Listen to us on Spotify. Carry on listening to us on Deezer, where we're holding our predominantly 98% of our audience at the moment. So
I can't believe how many people are listening on Deezer. Respect to people on Deezer.
And then obviously subscribe to us on YouTube, to the touch, and you can click our Twitter link on Twitch as well. Following our success on Deezer, we've been given another sponsor. Last week, obviously, successfully sponsored by Fartbox. Obviously, still proud as the Seeds of Tea community. And Chris, we've got another sponsor for us.
Yeah, so if there's any sponsors that want to get in touch, it's C to the T or Cold to the Touch 2020 at gmail.com. This week's sponsor actually made us an advert and everything, so I'll just play it for you. Today's episode is sponsored by Skooma. Sourced from the finest moon sugar and nightshade, every bottle of Skooma will restore 25 stamina and make you a hit with the ladies. Increase your manhood, move quicker, and feel more euphoric than you've ever felt before. So next time you're strolling through Windhelm on the hunt for some fine tail, remember to smoke Skooma. Side effects include crippling uncurable addiction, protracted lethargy, loss of voice, minor fits, and possibly death. Skoom responsibly. So there we go, that was our sponsor Skooma.
Shout out to those guys.
proud part of the Content Touch community now. So, Goomer. There we go. We got the advert.
Nice. Love them over at Schema.
Alright, so this is your segment. Take it away.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So we're still doing the discussions of films and albums every week. So last week was my suggestion, and I suggested Easy Rider because I know Callum and Chris haven't seen it, and I like it a lot. And there's a lot of drug content in it. During the filming of it, everyone was apparently high, like all the time. Dennis Hopper apparently on acid, everyone else on weed. So yeah, what did you guys think of it?
I didn't know them facts. The only fact I knew from looking it up and I wrote down was that Bob Dylan was originally asked to contribute music but wouldn't use his recording of.
Yeah, he didn't want to use his recording. So yeah, he also wrote the end credits song, but he didn't want any credit for it, so he handed it off to someone else. I've done loads of research for this. Yeah.
Why didn't he want anything held with it?
It's because it was. So he had his motorcycle accident in I think '68, and this was when they were like filming it and they were like trying to get the song rights and stuff. And he was out of the public eye, and he just didn't want to contribute to it because he felt embarrassed. So yeah, he wrote the song, but he just handed it off to someone else. He wrote the lyrics, but he didn't make the like instrument to go along with it. If you know what I mean? Yeah. Do you guys like it?
I liked it.
Yeah, I liked it quite a bit.
That's good to hear.
It's wild, isn't it? It's probably got one of the best soundtracks as well.
Yeah, the soundtrack was great.
The soundtrack's immense.
Yeah, the soundtrack is really good, and they didn't have to pay a single penny for it either, because it was like that was the first film to really do like a big soundtrack like that. So they literally just went to the artist and said, "Can we use your song?" And they said, "Yeah, fine." So no like monetary.
Yeah, I think exchanges. I was looking it up and it was like that and The Graduate were the first two films to ever like have more songs by other artists than the actual written score. Yeah,
the two like that along with Bonnie and Clyde, like the three big films that sort of launched the new Hollywood wave of films. Because like at the time,
new Hollywood type filmmaking.
Yeah, exactly. Because like the Hollywood system was crumbling, and they were just making like films that like kids weren't interested in because it wasn't like it was so outdated. And then they got like $350,000 to make this. They made it, and there were queues around the block for it, and it was a huge financial success. So studios started taking risks on like more risky films, and that's how you get like Martin Scorsese making films and those sort of guys.
I mean, there's definitely a lot to add. I did make notes, but I can't find them. But obviously, the ending being probably one of the main things people take away if it's not the soundtrack. Yeah. That was the first thing Chris said after he watched it. That was well abrupt. It's quite a U-turn.
It definitely comes out of nowhere. Chris, I think you've probably got some interesting thoughts on the ending. So.
Yeah, I did think it was very sudden, but at the same time, it was kind of hinted at throughout the film. Like there was always like a hint of darkness, and obviously there's the scenes where they go into like the restaurants and stuff, and there's all those like I guess redneck sort of people that were very against hippie type. So it wasn't too surprising.
Yeah,
and of course you have the scene with Jack Nicholson like half an hour before.
Yeah, that's a brutal scene to be fair.
Yeah.
Is that with the lawyer? Is Jack Nicholson?
Yeah, he's a lawyer, yeah.
Should know this. I only watched it like an hour ago. He gets bludgeoned.
It's his breakout role, yeah.
Didn't know that was his breakout role. I always forget that he's sort of older than he is.
Yeah.
He's quite older in The Shining, but he hasn't really aged for the last 30 years.
Yeah, apparently
he's aged a lot in the last 10 years.
Part, apparently.
I think
that would have been cool.
Yeah, but he got in a fist fight with Dennis Hopper and never happened.
I do think Jack Nicholson probably gave my favourite performance in the film. I really liked him in it.
Yeah,
he's only in it for 17 minutes as well, apparently. So the fact that
oh really?
Yeah, the fact he gives like my favourite performance, I thought was quite impressive.
Yeah. He feels like he's around for a lot longer.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, not a long film anyway, though, is it? It's like an hour and a half. You smash through it.
Yeah. To be fair, the original cut of it that Dennis Hopper had was 4 hours long. And it was just like, you know, the segments where they're like riding through America on the motorcycles, those were extended to like 20 minutes, half an hour, with just multiple songs.
Yeah. Oh, that'd be cool, to be fair.
Yeah, I'd definitely like to see it.
Like, very well, but...
Yeah. But yeah, it like watching the film back, it made me realise how weird like America is geographically. Because you get like mountains and then deserts, like swampland, just massive fields, like built up cities. It's such a weird country. I forget how big it is.
Yeah, it's huge. Sorry, I didn't mean to think. I haven't really got a lot to add to it, to be honest. It's just a solid...
What did you think of the drug use in it? Because that was a big like point of contention for the studio. They weren't happy with it. They thought it was promoting drug use.
Definitely. I mean, it doesn't not promote it. Obviously, it promotes not drug trafficking.
Yeah, and
I think
that have glorified them a lot worse than they have. I mean, maybe at the time it probably wasn't, but for that was great.
I was going to say, I think my favourite bit in the film was that the LSD sequence towards the end, which is like super surreal and experimental. I thought it was a good contrast to the rest of the film, which is much more laid back.
Yeah, it's weird as well because that was the first stuff they filmed.
Yeah.
They did 10 days in New Orleans for Mardi Gras, and that wasn't with like an official crew or anything. That was just friends of Dennis Hopper's. They took their 16mm cameras out.
Yeah, I liked those bits as well.
Yeah,
it had like almost like archival stock footage sort of look from where they used 16mm. I thought it looked really cool.
Yeah, it was cool. Yeah, and the rest of the cinematography was Laszlo Kovacs, and I really like the riding sequences in it, like when they're on the motorcycles and you can see like the big like horizons of mountains and deserts and stuff, and the sunlight getting into the camera. It's just a really cool. Yeah, like, it makes you feel like you're on, like you've taken weed. You know what I mean? Makes you feel like you're high.
You've injected 10 marijuana.
400,000 as well.
Yeah, and it's sadly it was like quite a abrasive film set. Apparently, like Peter Fonda and Dennis Hopper never spoke afterwards, and Peter Fonda wasn't allowed to come to Dennis Hopper's funeral because of the arguments they had on set. And then there was a third writer called Terry Southern, and he essentially, Dennis Hopper said that he wrote the whole thing. It's his idea. He made the film. But Terry Southern said that he wrote the film. There's a big point of contention there. So everyone that worked on the film just fell out with each other basically, and they don't talk to each other anymore. Or they're like dead now.
I heard a lot of the crew left because of Dennis Hopper basically just being super manic from where he was taking loads of drugs the whole shoot. Yeah,
he was a bit of a nutcase at the time, apparently. But yeah, it was like the first real like big independent film that made a breakthrough and changed American cinema, really. So yeah, quite an important film, I think, in my opinion.
It's always cool when you have films that start off sort of for the better, because there's certainly films that have kickstarted off terrible trends like
Adam Sandler comedies.
Yeah, okay. I was going to go a bit more in depth. Yeah, Adam Sandler. Just like, I don't know, it's cool, isn't it? And then like from what they started with Hollywood New Wave, you started French New Wave, Italian New Wave. Like there's so much.
Yeah, it's a lot of movements. Yeah, you can tell that this film was sort of influenced by like watching French New Wave films and stuff, because like some of the editing is really strange. Like there'll be like random like 3 quick cuts and then like just a cut to a wide shot of the two sitting by a campfire. It's it's pretty unique as far as films from that era go, especially the 60s. Like obviously the 70s did get a bit more strange and art house, for lack of a better word.
Yeah. All right.
But yeah,
Chris,
good film.
A rating of it?
Yeah, I gave it 4 cold to the touches out of 5.
There you go. I'd give it. I'd say 4 cold to the touches out of 5. maybe 4.5, but we'll stick to round
numbers.
Yeah,
I'd give it 4.5 cold to the touches out of 5.
I like it.
I think the only thing that lets it down is like just some weird non-dialogue sequences, like when no one really says anything. It's just Dennis Hopper going, "Yeah, man, 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 man," just repeatedly.
Yeah. Are we going to play another song, or are we going to go through the letterboxd reviews that I had?
No, we got the letterboxd reviews, haven't we? Yeah, let's go through the letterboxd reviews.
Okay, so in the film recommendations, what I've been doing is I go to Letterboxd, the app, and find the most interesting or funny reviews that I can find. Last week we had 10. This time I could only find 6 that actually made me laugh. So
good times.
The first one comes from Rat Pound 1, who wrote, "Thanks for nothing, Alphabet Soup." Don't really know what that means, but
yeah, I don't get that at all.
Sorry, my computer froze for a second.
I'm gonna start screaming dead air in future next time there's a little pause. I'll wreck the thing.
Is it bad?
Yeah, I'm just opening up the picture now. There we go. This one is from someone called Sarah. "What the fuck did I watch here? Only men like this, right? This was bad. Wasted time."
Fair play. Not a lot of women in the film. Could be an argument for, sexism, but...
Yeah. Pretty sure the only women in the film as well, prostitutes.
Yeah, and then you got the teenage girls in that restaurant scene as well.
Oh, yeah.
They want to ride on the motorcycle.
So, Adam Muck put boomer nonsense.
Surely it goes against everything a boomer stands for.
It was at the time as well that boomers were being born.
Yeah, it's an anti-boomer film, isn't it? It's like they're like living outside the system. They're free. That's the whole point of the film.
They were like just after the boomer generation.
Yeah. Well, whoever put that is wrong.
Someone called...
Disagree fundamentally.
Someone called Bjornar put, "I've taken shits more impressive than this."
Jesus.
Well, I'd like to see him, because if they're half as good as this film, then I'll be impressed.
Barhas put, "I hate full-time stones. I hate this movie, and I hate hillbillies."
Yeah, but they hate hillbillies as well, so it'd be like up his alley.
And the final one is from Nina de Abramo, who put, "Peter Fonda's skin looks like shit."
Yeah, I actually do agree with that one. He looks like he's made out of leather. I mean, he's dead now, not to speak ill of the dead, but I guess you're out in the sun a lot when you're filming this film. A lot of it was filmed in hot places. Skin probably gets a bit dry. They don't have the moisturisers that we do now. Yeah, fair enough.
Right, on to your next recommendation.
Okay, cool. So the album I recommended was Berlin by Lou Reed. Doesn't have it's something to do with drugs, but not massively. So yeah, it's like a concept album about a couple called Jim and Caroline from an earlier Lou Reed song. And it's about their marriage basically, and how they're both dependent on drugs. She goes out and cheats on Jim. Jim beats her up because she cheats on him. Eventually they get their kids taken away from them, and oh, bless you. And Caroline kills herself at the end of the album. So yeah, what did you guys think of it? It's more depressing than I thought it was.
I mean, I briefly...
I was going to say I listened to it yesterday, and I was like, that was pretty good, but very depressing. And I listened to it again a few hours ago, and I really loved it the second time around. I thought it was incredible.
Oh, yeah.
Possibly my favourite Lou Reed album that I've listened to so far.
Yeah, it's really good. It comes at like... It's weird because he was like in his rock and roll phase, but then he's got this weird like concept album that's so different from anything else he really put out in that 5-year span.
Yeah,
I think
put this album out this album came out like a few months after Transformer. It's like a huge shift.
Yeah. What did you think of it, Callum? Do you like it or?
Yeah, so I listened to it yesterday as well, but I haven't listened to it again. So I listened to it yesterday, and then straight after landed up listening to Transformer because I was just in a Lou Reed hole at that point onwards. I liked it. I didn't have any gripes with it. I didn't have any notes on it. Like I just sort of listen. I had my headphones on. It was quite late at night, and I just sort of listened and enjoyed it.
Good times.
Around doing my daily thing. I mean, I didn't come out of it feeling particularly happy, but I still I listened to it, and it definitely put me onto wanting to listen to more of his stuff. Concept albums are always interesting anyway, but
yeah, I think when you get to the song, is it The Kids, and the end of the song is basically just 2 minutes of kids screaming for their mum as they get taken away from her. That's when it's like just hits like peak depression. You're like,
that was a fun experience.
Yeah, and then is it the next song is The Bed?
Yeah,
where she basically kills herself. Yeah, that's a double whammy. Yeah, because when I first listened to the album, I don't know, I must have just not been listening to the lyrics very well, because like I sort of picked up on the like domestic abuse in is it the song Caroline Says 2?
Yeah.
And then I literally just didn't pick up on the suicide bit of like towards the end of the album. And yeah, it just the second time I listened to it for this show, I was like, oh wow, this is actually quite sad.
Yeah, it was a very dark turn the album took. But to be fair, even like the first few songs weren't very happy. It's not really a happy album at all.
No, I think the only happy song is it like Berlin, the very first track where they obviously meet and fall in love.
Yeah.
Everything from that point onward is pretty depressing, and it's apparently based on the breakdown of Lou Reed's first marriage, where he'd get like violent with his wife and hit her. They didn't have kids or anything, but and they were both really strung out on drugs, mainly heroin. So yeah, just a depressing album, but a really interesting one, I think, especially when you compare it to a lot of Lou Reed stuff. He's done concept albums, but I don't think ever is like character driven as this. Like a lot of his songs are character driven, but the overall album is just so character driven. It's almost like a film.
Yeah.
Yeah, that it's interesting.
All I've listened to of Lou Reed was Transform and obviously the Velvet Underground albums, and then this is very different from all of those.
Yeah. Obviously, you got Metal Machine Music, which is a concept album, but very
just
very
nothing but noise.
To this. Yeah, pretty much. But yeah, that's pretty much all I got to say about it. I love the album. I love Lou Reed. Everyone should listen to Lou Reed.
And as soon as lockdown ends, you'll be back in Zanzi's screaming for Pete to play Lou Reed again.
Yeah, and he never does, which is always sad. Maybe one day.
Pretty sure he played Satellite of Love on one of his live streams.
Oh, maybe. Maybe I wasn't listening, because I literally would have loved that. Would have gone mental.
Alright, Chris, do you want to give it a rating?
I'll give it 4.5 cold to the touches out of 5. Maybe it will go up on further listens, but yeah, for now I'll say that.
I'll start off with I'll go 4 and straight across the board, but I'll have to listen to it again. I'm sure it'll probably go up once I've had another proper listen to it. I'm excited.
I'm going for a full 5 out of 5 cold to the touches.
Nice.
Because I'm basically a Lou Reed fanboy. Even though he's a bit of a piece of a shit. Piece of shit, not piece of a shit. That'd be weird.
Next time, I think you should recommend the album he did with Metallica, Lulu.
Definitely not.
Obviously, going forward, we've had quite a filled show so far. We've done our lists. About a sponsor, we've emailed our sequels. Something that we often have to sift through before we get ready to do the show's fan mail. Something in which we received troves of, especially when we announced our theme was drugs. And I think, hopefully, Kai has been sifting through, and he's finally picked one.
I do. So this came in while we were doing the show, weirdly. So that's a first.
Nice.
I'll just get it up now. It's quite quick, quite to the point.
That's what we like.
But here it goes. So, meth, ketamine, cocaine, heroin, marijuana, Xanax, crack, poppers, LSD, DMT, shrooms, speed, and skooma. I love them all. I take them all. They are my lifeblood. The thing that gets me is the fact that you non-drug taking fucks will laugh and belittle me because of my drug habits. If you only knew the things my mind has seen whilst on these magical substances, you wouldn't laugh. You'd want to be me. Am I missing multiple teeth? Yes. Are the teeth I have rotten and black? Yes. Do I look like Freddy fucking Krueger? Absolutely. And do you know what? I don't care one little bit, because drugs make me the man. I know things that your tiny brains couldn't even begin to comprehend. So do me a favour. Never, ever do a show about drugs again. I swear to God, I will hunt you guys down. Watch as you flourish into responsible adults with nice jobs, nice partners, and nice houses. I will wait until you have kids, and wait some more so that you truly love those kids. And then one day, when you're content and happy, I'll snuff those little fuckers' lights out. You've been warned. All the best. Colin the Crackhead Carmichael. So, strong words there from Colin.
Very much Colin the Crackhead Carmichael.
I'm a bit worried for my health and safety, but, you know.
And the health and safety of your future children as well.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not planning to have kids, so I guess I'm off the hook with that one, but you two are fucked.
You're listening to the final link from Cult of Touch with Callum, Kai and Chris.
Stop dabbing. Why'd you dab when you start every link? It's embarrassing. I wish the listeners could see it.
Involved.
I'm glad they can't, to be honest.
I wish they could, so they could shame him.
Need to reiterate, so follow us on Twitch, follow us on Twitter, follow us on Spotify, carry on following us on Deezer. We appreciate you, and you can email us in as well. Chris, have you got the email ready, or am I gonna?
Yeah, it's cultoftetouch2020@gmail.com. I've got the shit memorised now.
There we go. So we'll keep an eye out for the emails. So obviously the week before we ended, Kai recommended Lou Reed album and Easy Rider to watch. And then we've got, I mean, we're a weekly show every Thursday, 1 o'clock. We've got another theme for next week, and this week is My Go. So going forward for next week, and the theme's a little bit out there, but we're going to do a show about cursed, romance, or love, whatever you want to call it. One or the other.
I wanted to make a romance playlist, but I thought Kai would probably kick off, so that's why I didn't put it on my list.
Why do you think I'd kick off at a romance playlist?
Because you hate happiness.
You hate happiness.
We could have a wedding themed show, and I was like, no, it's a bit tacky. I thought about it a bit more, and then my recommendation sort of fell in. So my first recommendation in the album, which is Father John Misty's I Love You Honey Bear.
Nice. I was planning on listening to all his albums in the next week anyway.
There we go. So that coincides. And the film recommendation's a little bit different because it sort of ties into another recommendation, like album recommendation. It doubles up as a film and or an album tied into one. And that's 3 by the Lumineers, which was a concept album they did, which has videos accompanying it on YouTube. And if you watch them in one long string, then it ties into a short film.
Oh, okay, cool.
Exciting. I think they're both sort of different, but we'll see what you have to add next week. But
that is cool. I'm excited.
You want to play us out?